Yes. Okay, I am recording. Okay. So, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Oh, so how are you? First off,
Good. Yeah, very good, thank you.
cool. Have you just done like 2 hours of interview?
Closer to four.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I hope you're not too talked out. I'll try to make this quick.
And absolutely fine. There's
Okay.
actually worse things to do.
Oh, then talk about your music, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay, so obviously the new album, Cryptoriana, is the topic at hand. Congratulations, by the way. It's a really, really excellent album.
Brilliant, thank you.
So, okay, you said you were building on the success of Hammer of the Witches. Did you go into this with that intention for it to kind of sound in the same vein?
Um, well, a couple of the tracks were actually written for Hammer of the Witches, and they just didn't work out. They weren't developed enough at the time. Um, and so we decided to hold them back. We didn't even know whether they're going on this album or not, but we developed them further, and they sit better with this album than the previous record. There's things about this record that, like for example, that are very different. For example, I think for the first time we don't have an orchestral intro or an orchestral outro or an orchestral middle section. Instead, orchestral parts integrated the song. The songs a lot. There's acoustic guitars on the record. There's more guitar solos, but they're not just there for the sake of it. You know, they're really well thought out. I'd say there was more interaction with the guitars, like in the sort of twin guitar, new wave of British heavy metal vein. There's some really heavy tracks on the record, like Death and the Maiden, which finishes the main bulk of the album, not the special edition. On the special edition, there's a cover version of Annihilator's Alice in Hell, which we've been wanting to do for ages. And the reason we've done it now is because it fits very well with the theme and of the music and the album, and also because we bumped into Jeff Waters recently. I say recently, over the last couple of years, and mentioned that we were going to be undertaking a cover of that track, and he sort of gave it his full endorsement. And he's indeed heard it since it being finished, and he loves it. So that's a biggest accolade you can get when undertaking a cover. Yeah, we've got a choir on here, with the emphasis on high soprano, so it's very ghostly. Fits perfectly in with this sort of Victorian Gothic, horror story vibe. What other things on it? And Vengeful Spirit features the voice of Liv Christine, who is Leaves Eyes, and featured on one of our older tracks, Nymphetamine. But
right.
It's a very different track. It's called Vengeful Spirit, and she characterizes the protagonist of the song, a woman betrayed, who commits suicide but then returns from purgatory to torment the person who's wronged her in life, which is me, basically. So we sort of feature as a cool duet. So anybody expecting Nymphetamine Part 2 will be slightly disappointed, because it's a slightly faster song, but it's unmistakably her, and it's very catchy.
Nice. That's really cool, actually. I did notice some, I don't know, sort of undertones of Nymphetamine, of that era of the band, while listening to it. Were you intentionally maybe sort of trying to go back, quote unquote, to your roots or whatnot, or?
I think I think by nature of the music and the twin guitar work, and the fact that the stuff is very ornate and fast, with big, Gothic melodrama thrown into parts of the album, especially in Achingly Beautiful and The Night at Catafalque Manor, which is one of the bonus tracks. I think that just immediately makes it, links it back to the past, to albums like Cruelty and the Beast, Midian, or indeed Nymphetamine. I think just by default alone.
But that wasn't like your main goal in life with that.
No, no, not at all. I think it's just, obviously we're the same band. Well, we're Cradle of Filth, and even with newer members who have, it's the same lineup from the previous album, Hammer of the Witches, but you could say then, they're the newest members, and they're fans of the band. When they joined the band, they were fans, and since then we've been rehearsing and playing a lot, and doing a diverse amount of material from our entire back catalogue. So they're fully integrated into the Cradle sound. And I guess, like I say, just doing the way the songs integrate with each other, and the speed of them and the intricacy of them, and the atmosphere of the songs, and the fact that, because it's fast, there's a lot of very high vocals as well, although there's a lot of very deep vocals on the album, which is quite new as well. I think it immediately just brings to mind earlier records.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like inevitable, right? And then all the members are from different countries, right? Does that make it difficult to kind of like jam together? Do you guys just kind of send demos back and forth, or how did you orchestrate all that?
Well, originally it was everybody works on their own stuff, and then we went to Brno in the Czech Republic, where two of the members live. Mainly because we were doing a festival in Slovakia, which is the next country along. And it was a bit of a team building exercise, and we obviously sort of partied and sightseed and felt like being on holiday a little bit, which is great for the band itself. But obviously the most important thing was that we collated all our ideas, and because everybody had been working so proficiently on either full tracks or parts of tracks or individual riffs they thought could, fill the puzzle. We actually came away with that with 80 to 85% of the album written. So after that, it was quite easy to finish the record in our various, either in Canada or in England, Scotland, or the Czech Republic. And then when we came to the studio, there was still further mutation. Once you get a producer involved, who's heard the demos, you can be close as damn it to the actual mix, and which we were, in fact, when we decided to integrate Liv Christine into the track. So there's always room for improvement. And although we do live in different countries, having that writing session there, being in the studio together, just brings it all together. And the fact that we have toured a lot as musicians, just people are very aware of each other's capabilities and how we interact amongst each other.
That's cool. And you've used the same producer for a while now, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. People say, "Oh, it's all going to sound the same." It's not. Absolutely not. And that's because when I say technology moves along, we actually did a lot of it very, very live, playing the songs right through. What I mean by that is guitar tones, guitar heads. You can fine tune drums. There's new techniques coming out to change things. You can, we went out of our way in some places to make the album very different. Like I say, the use of acoustic guitars, for example, just the way some of the riffs are written, the bass parts, etc., etc. It's definitely a more ornate record than its predecessor.
Yeah, true. I just recently watched the video for Heartbreak and Seance. It's really visually striking, like the tableaus and stuff, and that's that Arthur Bruzins that you've been working with, right?
Yes, he was the artist for Hammer of the Witches, and I wanted to use him on this album Then I found out from some of his peers that he was as good a video director, if not better, than he was an artist. So immediately we thought, right, okay, discuss some ideas with him. We decided to pool the video budget with the art budget and the photography budget and went to Riga in Latvia, which obviously, without being coarse, was going to be cheaper than doing it in somewhere like England. And yeah, when we got there, we were just absolutely blown away by just the enormity of the crew and the cast and the attention to detail, and the just the props and the extras and things brought on board. Snakes and the
Yeah, I
snow.
saw that
And
that making of like little documentary. It looked really like interesting and intense.
yeah, yeah, and absolutely no CGI. It's very cinematic, and that indeed mimics the record. The record is very cinematic and dramatic and theatrical.
How did you come to work with him? Because his style sort of it seems to mesh well with the stuff that you guys are doing.
Um, you know what? I can't remember. Sometimes artists, no, sometimes artists approach us because we've worked with so many great artists that they just want to add their take on it. Like moths to a flame, I guess. I'm not quite sure. I think I might have got in contact with him through seeing some of his art, or he got in contact. I can't remember. That's consigned to legend. But
It was
he's
just
a
fate.
he's a really really nice person as well. Very obviously very artistic. He's an author and a musician as well as a video director. In fact, there's not much he can't do. It's actually sickens me, to be honest.
Wow. So what is that song about exactly? I was reading the lyrics too, and I was trying to figure it out.
Well, it's kind of it's a Victorian tragic story of two lovers who've been separated by a great war. It doesn't specify which one, but the British Empire obviously had skirmishes all around the world in order to keep that empire. So in death, he's kind of watching it from beyond the pale, yearning to return to her arms, while she makes contact or tries to make contact with him through spiritualism, through the planchette, Ouija board, whatever.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and growing ever lonelier, and not actually getting to break through that porous border. He just watches her as you know, she spirals towards suicide, and then only then she's with him again. So it's like a tragic love story. Um, and in context of the video, he's made the artwork is very classically themed. So it has Victorian costumes, but it's almost timeless. The actual you've got like classical sort of mythology wrapped around Victorian sensibilities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you were like painted all in black.
Yeah,
Was
we're
that
trying to.
uncomfortable?
Well, yeah, to be honest, and it was more uncomfortable trying to get it off about 5 hours before we had to go to the airport, and then realizing shit, it's still by my ears and in my ears and under my fingernails. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, we're trying to represent the personification of death.
Oh,
So whether it's Thanatos or Kali, even, who's always depicted black-skinned, pure black-skinned, very demonic looking,
that's what I thought. It was like a demon, and then above this like pile of like naked people.
which is always a good thing.
Yeah, when do you not need a pile of naked people? Yeah, it was really cool looking. Like I said, like a living painting. Um, oh, so would you say the album overall is like a quote unquote concept album? Is there a whole story you're telling, or just like each one is a story?
Each one's a story. It's hinged or hilted in the Victorian era, and either the songs are there, placed in the Victorian era, like The Seductiveness of Decay, which concerns itself with Victorian England's crowning glory, which is London, and it's the juxtaposition between its respectability and high morality and its rotten underbelly. So it's about romance and the macabre, or it's in the vein of Victorian Gothic horror writers like E.F. Benson, so Arthur Conan Doyle, Oscar Wilde, Arthur Machen, Algernon Blackwood, Robert Louis Stevenson, those sort of people.
Nice. I know you guys have always been a really aesthetic, like the aesthetics are just as important as the music, I would say. Why do you think that is? Why do you think aesthetics are so important to bringing everything forth?
Well, obviously the music's of paramount importance, but we've always been very theatrical, and I just think it's good to represent your art that little bit further. So whether it's the lyricism or the artwork or the videos or the costumes, um, we've always been very finicky about how we project ourselves. And I think after 12 albums and subsequent EPs and live records and stuff, we kind of backed ourselves into a corner that people expect that every time I do an interview, immediately people say, is this a concept record? Because they kind of expect it of Cradle of Filth.
I see. But I mean, that doesn't mean you don't like doing it, right? Like, I mean, it seems like you're pretty into it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but it gets harder per album, I guess.
I see. That's interesting. So you definitely have a tour coming up, but I didn't see. Are you coming to the States?
Absolutely. But we're just announcing it piece by piece at the moment, letting the dust settle around the European leg of it. I believe the North American / Canadian tour, the finite details are just being ironed out. And then I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that leg of the world tour will be announced. And then after that, it'll be the third leg, which will be, well, obviously, hopefully, Latin America is going to precede North America and Canada. But after that, it'll be Japan, Australia, Philippines, Malaysia, I think. Yeah, so it's going to be, I think, possibly the most extensive world tour that Cradle of Filth have done for a long while.
Wow. Nice. So, is there any other like stuff coming up that I should know about or talk about?
Well, obviously, the album's coming out via Nuclear Blast Entertainment on September the 22nd. I urge people to buy the special edition because you get not only The Night at Catafalque Manor, which is a great track, and it's when we write an album, we don't know what we're going to put on Beyond the Divide. We write everything. Everything's given as much love and undue attention as they possibly can. So yeah, that's a great track. And then obviously you got the Annihilator cover as well. What's a few more dollars between friends when you get like a special edition. So I advise everybody to buy that one. There's going to be another song coming out, I think a week before maybe. So look out for that. Advise people to go to the Cradle of Filth Facebook page because we're always announcing stuff. And now that we are in that really busy period of releasing a record, there's stuff being announced all over the place. We're going to Japan, play Loud Park, and we're hoping to film a DVD there. Next year, it's the 20th anniversary of Cruelty and the Beast, and so we're subsequently releasing that album again, but we're remixing it because people have always had a little bit of a problem with they love the album, not overly in love with the sound of it.
Oh,
So we're
yeah.
going to try and bring it up to date, but not at the expense of the atmosphere. So that's going to be a very fine line that we're going to have to tread. We've already done a test mix, given it to the record company. They're very happy with it.
Are the
So
drums going to be more prominent in this mix?
exactly, it's going to sound very up to date, but not. That's why we didn't want to farm it out to, an outsider, as it were, someone who doesn't really know the album. We really want to make it as atmospheric as we can without losing the power. or vice versa, as good sounding without losing the atmosphere of the original. And that should come out about April, I believe.
Nice. Very, very, very cool. Well, right on. Well, I appreciate you talking to me, and thank you very much. And hopefully you don't have to talk for 4 more hours unless you want to.
I'll probably be just talking in my sleep, rocking backward and forward from now on. You're actually the last one
Oh, well,
for
cool.
today. For today.
Hopefully to relax now, and or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the plan.
Well, right on. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day, and rock on. I hope to see you guys play in the States.
Cool, my pleasure.
Cool.
Cheerio. Bye.
Bye. Bye.